Right now, as you sit here, something ancient stirs within your chest. Can you feel it? That invisible force pulsing beneath your ribcage, waiting to be acknowledged. It's been there since your first breath, sometimes dormant like embers under ash, other times erupting like a volcano that reshapes entire landscapes. This isn't poetry. This is reality. The raw, untamed energy that defines your very existence. Deep in the core of your being lives an elemental force, one that shapes your decisions, colors your emotions, and writes the story of your life whether you're aware of it or not. Carl Jung discovered something profound. What you resist persists. What you do not bring into consciousness appears in your life as fate. This invisible power within you, it's the architect of everything you call destiny. Take this moment. Breathe deeply. Notice that sensation spreading through your body, that warmth, that tingling awareness. Perhaps it manifests as frustration. Maybe it emerges as longing. It could appear as buried sorrow that never found expression. That's your inner essence speaking, the part of you that refuses to stay silent any longer. In moments, you'll witness 5 distinct flames. Each burns with its own unique rhythm. Each communicates in a different emotional language. One speaks through shadows and mysteries. Another radiates pure insight. The third blazes with unbridled desire. One trembles with unhealed wounds. And the final one resonates with your deepest spiritual truth. Nothing here happens randomly. The flame that captures your attention reveals the dominant energy pattern in your psyche right now. It might illuminate pain you've hidden, potential you've neglected, or truth desperately trying to surface into your awareness. The sacred space. Picture yourself entering an ageless sanctuary, walls covered in moss and memory. Silence wraps around you like a blanket. Before your eyes, 5 candles emerge from the darkness, each flame dancing to its own mysterious melody. Each color vibrates at its own frequency, carrying its own profound message. This experience transcends mere entertainment. It's not about predicting your future. This is a symbolic expedition into your unconscious mind, an opportunity to encounter the authentic self you've kept buried beneath layers of social conditioning. Before making your selection, suspend all mental chatter. Ask your deepest self, what force truly drives my life? Is it wisdom that illuminates my path or compulsion that hijacks my choices? Is it gentle intuition whispering guidance or explosive anger demanding acknowledgement? Are these old traumas controlling me or have they secretly become my greatest teachers? When the candles materialize before you, resist the urge to overthink. Don't let logic dictate this choice. Trust your visceral response. Not what makes intellectual sense, but what resonates in your gut, what makes your heart skip a beat. It might be a hue that hypnotizes you, a flickering pattern that mesmerizes, or an inexplicable emotional pull you can't rationalize. Whatever magnetizes you, surrender to it. The candle calling your name is never accidental. It exposes the fundamental energy governing your existence, the force that either liberates or imprisons you. 5 flames, 5 journeys, 5 dimensions of the human soul. Behind each lies a revelation about your authentic nature. Are you prepared to witness what's been hidden? Learner, the atmosphere deepens. The atmosphere around you thickens with anticipation. You become acutely aware of your own pulse, echoing like distant drums in an empty cathedral. This darkness isn't merely absence, it's presence. It observes. It holds space. It anticipates. Then emerging from the stillness comes the subtle aroma of melting wax. A luminous glow trembles into existence, followed by another, then more. 5 distinct flames now stand in formation before you, each one alive with consciousness, each one carrying ancient wisdom. These aren't arbitrary decorations or flights of fancy. They are living portals into your subconscious terrain. Each radiates distinct energy signatures. One hums with enigma, another vibrates with raw vitality. One aches with remembered suffering. Another emanates tranquility. And one more pulses with the cadence of transformation. Close your eyes briefly. Envision yourself seated on weathered stone, legs crossed in meditation. Towering columns rise into shadow above you, etched with symbols from civilizations long forgotten. Particles of dust float lazily through shafts of amber sunlight breaking through from somewhere far above. You detect the soft crackling of the flames, the primordial language of metamorphosis. Each candle exhibits unique behavior. One maintains unwavering composure like the steady voice of absolute truth. Another leaps and twirls with wild abandon, drunk on possibility and appetite. One quivers uncertainly, like a wounded creature struggling to maintain consciousness. Another glows with ethereal softness, as though tethered to dimensions beyond the physical. And one burns with an impossible quality, dark, frigid, magnetically compelling. You sense them reaching toward you not through sound but through recognition. Something within your chest leans forward instinctively, magnetically drawn to one particular light. You cannot explain why. Explanation is irrelevant here because this experience bypasses rationality entirely. It operates on resonance. Your unconscious mind speaks through attraction. Jung understood that every choice we make carries messages from the depths of our psyche. When you select a flame, you're not choosing a color preference. You're responding to a question your soul has been posing for longer than you realize. So breathe slowly. Observe them carefully. 5 fires, 5 truths, 5 reflections of your innermost being. Which one feels like coming home? Which one mirrors the rhythm beating in your chest? Which one feels like a secret you've carried forever but never voiced? In this suspended moment, time becomes irrelevant. You aren't merely observing. You're remembering. The candle attracting you isn't an external object. It's a fragment of yourself returning from exile. Now look with full attention. Among these 5 sources of light, one appears black with an icy azure flame. Its radiance doesn't comfort. It pierces through obscurity like a blade of frozen clarity. It doesn't offer reassurance. It demands bravery. If your attention lingers there even momentarily, perhaps that is your calling. First flame, the shadow keeper, black candle with blue fire. If the obsidian candle with its freezing sapphire flame captured your gaze, you've selected the most challenging path available. You've chosen to stare directly into the abyss, not to flee from it but to comprehend it. This represents confrontation, not consolation. Its illumination doesn't soothe wounds, it reveals them. Yet within that revelation lies the seedling of genuine liberation. The ebony wax gleams like volcanic glass. Droplets of molten indigo cascade down its surface, viscous and deliberate, like tears that have waited decades to be witnessed. When you draw closer, you discover the flame emanates coldness rather than warmth. And paradoxical fire, sharp as naked truth. This is the fire of piercing awareness. This candle symbolizes everything you've buried alive within yourself. The rage you've swallowed to maintain social acceptability. The grief you've disguised as resilience. The yearnings you've labeled as forbidden or shameful. Every secret you've exiled into internal darkness now breathes through this blue-tinged illumination. Look deeper. Can you perceive the faint silhouette forming in the wax? A face crying out, not in terror but in recognition at last. That face belongs to you. The aspect of yourself that's been gagged for too long. The scream that echoed unheard. The emotion that never found oxygen. It's been patiently waiting for you to finally pay attention. The smoke spirals upward, twisting into the outline of a figure bound by chains. Those shackles aren't constructed of metal. They're woven from memory. They are the internalized voices that once commanded, "Don't feel that. Don't cry. Don't want." They are cultural expectations, harsh judgments, unspoken rules you absorb to ensure survival. Yet these same protective rules evolved into prison walls that now suffocate your authentic breathing. By selecting this candle, you've already accomplished the most difficult step, admitting that pain exists within you. You've acknowledged the wound rather than concealing it behind masks, and that singular act represents courage in its most concentrated form. Jung taught that the tree of life only grows where the tree of death previously stood. Translation: your radiance will blossom precisely where your darkness once dwelled. What you consciously accept undergoes transformation. What you frantically deny secretly controls you. So when you gaze into this obsidian flame, understand this fundamental truth. You are not being subjected to punishment. You are receiving an invitation. Invited to reclaim the parts of yourself that once triggered fear. Invited to allow your darkness to finally speak so it no longer needs to violently scream. Perhaps you've always felt excessive, too emotional, too intense, too volatile, too unpredictable for others' comfort. But what if those too much qualities were never defects? What if they were urgent communications? Signals from your inner fire pleading, "Notice me, acknowledge me, honor me." The black candle embodies that signal. It whispers firmly, "Stop running away." It requests you turn around and face what you've been fleeing for years. not to re-traumatize yourself, but to end the suffering that hiding has perpetuated. Healing doesn't mean erasing painful memories. It means giving them voice, permission, and ultimately transforming them into hard-won wisdom. The moment you observe your shadow without flinching, it ceases being your adversary. It becomes your deepest ally. This marks the beginning of authentic alchemy, the transformation of pain into empowerment, fear into freedom. The azure flame of this candle represents your consciousness awakening from its slumber. It isn't the fire that annihilates. It's the fire that illuminates hidden terrain. Let its light reveal what you've concealed in internal darkness. Let it gradually melt each chain link. Let it teach you this liberating truth. What burns inside you doesn't have to consume your life. It can illuminate your path forward. You have confronted the first flame. You have gazed upon the shadow, and now another light begins stirring, one that whispers of serenity. Second flame, the truth bearer, white candle. If your eyes gravitated toward the ivory candle radiating with steady, almost motionless brilliance, it reveals that quiet power dwells within your core. It doesn't roar for attention or demand recognition. It simply exists, pure, constant, immovable. This represents the voice of your highest self, the calm epicenter that knows truth even when your thinking mind forgets or doubts. The wax appears pale as moonlight, and wrapped around its base lies a delicate silver chain. It glimmers faintly, a reminder that even purity can be constrained by outdated belief systems. You can sense it clearly, the longing to ascend, to breathe without restriction, to exist according to your own authentic rhythm. But something still tugs at your foundation, anchoring you near the ground. That chain doesn't represent punishment or karmic debt. It represents history. The accumulated words, rigid rules, and crushing expectations you once accepted as absolute truth. Perhaps you were taught that love must be earned through performance. Perhaps you learned that intuition equals foolishness, that inner peace means laziness, that self-trust borders on dangerous arrogance. And so you constructed a prison using other people's voices, eventually forgetting that the door was never actually locked from the outside. The flame hovering above doesn't flicker wildly. It listens attentively. It listens to the chaos churning within you and responds with profound stillness. It burns not to devour, but to remind you of who you've always been beneath the conditioning. In its gentle illumination, the deafening noise of external demands fades completely, and what remains is the sound of your own soul whispering persistently, "Trust me. I've been here accompanying you all along." If this candle has claimed you, it signals your spirit is ready to be heard and honored. You may have invested years pursuing goals, proving your worth to others, seeking external validation, and yet none of it delivered lasting peace. Because genuine peace doesn't inhabit applause or achievement. It lives in alignment, that graceful state when what you feel, think, and do all flow in identical direction. Gaze into this ivory flame. Notice how it doesn't dance frantically. It maintains its ground with dignity. Its light reaches inward rather than seeking external attention. It asks you to cease performing for invisible audiences, to stop pretending that silence equals weakness or passivity. Your quietness isn't emptiness or vacancy. It's disguised wisdom waiting for recognition. The white candle summons authenticity. It doesn't demand perfection. It requests that you be real, fully, and unapologetically real. When your yes genuinely means yes, when your no genuinely means no without guilt or explanation, that's when the soul finally exhales in relief. No masks, no bargains, no proving your worthiness. Just unfiltered truth. However, this path contains genuine struggle. You may feel torn between your intuition's whisper and the world's loud demands. One part of you murmurs, "Be free." Another part insists, "Be safe. Stay small." That tension forms the chain, the friction between who you authentically are and who you were systematically taught to become. Yet every single time you choose authenticity over approval, one more link dissolves into nothing. Jung wrote profoundly that enlightenment is not achieved by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness fully conscious. And once you have courageously faced your darkness, this ivory flame becomes your guiding compass through it. It doesn't represent the absence of pain, but the presence of crystal clarity. This candle doesn't promise easy answers or simple solutions. It offers a challenging question. Are you willing to choose yourself even when others misunderstand? Even when your path leads into territories marked unknown on every map? If you can whisper yes, even softly, even with trembling uncertainty in your voice, then you are already free. Your soul has remembered what society desperately wanted you to forget, that you are light, and light requires no external permission to shine. Third flame, the life force, red candle. If your gaze was magnetically drawn to the crimson candle glowing like molten sunset, it means the fire within you absolutely refuses to remain quiet or dormant. This isn't domesticated flame. It roars, throbs, and demands to be fully experienced. This is the energy of passion incarnate, the thundering heartbeat of your primal instincts, the ancient voice proclaiming, "I am vibrantly alive." The wax drips gradually down its sides like droplets of blood, not symbolizing pain, but vitality itself. It represents your life force, the untamed current that makes you love with dangerous intensity, grieve with oceanic depth, and crave meaning beyond surface-level existence. Every emotion you experience burns hotter and brighter than it does in ordinary people. Your joy becomes ecstatic rapture. Your sadness becomes abyssal. Your anger strikes with lightning speed and voltage. You don't experience life halfway or at medium intensity. You live completely through everything. And yet this tremendous intensity functions as both your greatest gift and your heaviest burden. For those who burn this brilliantly are frequently misunderstood by a world terrified of genuine flame. Perhaps you've been repeatedly told you're too much, too emotional, too dramatic, too impulsive, too unpredictable. But those criticisms only emerge from people who have forgotten what authentic feeling means, who have numbed themselves into safe mediocrity. The radiant halo glowing above this crimson candle isn't mere decoration or aesthetic choice. It's a powerful message declaring, your passion is not sinful but sacred. Your desires, your longings, your fury, your tenderness, all of it belongs to your human experience, because what burns within you is not chaotic destruction. It is transformation actively in motion. In ancient alchemy, the red fire represented the stage of calcination, the burning away of false identity so truth may rise magnificently from the ashes. And that's precisely what this candle represents, a purifying inferno. Life may deliberately place you in situations that ignite every nerve ending inside you, not to destroy your spirit, but to reveal what still genuinely matters, what still breathes with authentic life. Perhaps you've spent exhausting years restraining yourself, suffocating your emotions, learning to be polite when your heart desperately wanted to scream truth. You've built massive walls of control to keep the world safe from your intensity, but inside that flame has been steadily building pressure, waiting for the inevitable moment when it breaks through the cracks. The red candle whispers urgently, it's time now. Time to feel again without apology, to allow the complete spectrum of your humanity, to rage without drowning in shame, to love without crippling fear, to desire without poisonous guilt. Jung once observed that any emotion not expressed doesn't simply disappear into thin air. It sinks into the unconscious realm and metamorphoses into something considerably darker. Unspoken anger gradually becomes clinical depression. Unacknowledged longing transforms into corroding envy. Suppressed desire becomes emotional numbness, a living death. But when emotion is embraced consciously and directed intentionally, it becomes tremendous power, a creative force rather than destructive impulse. The energetic aura surrounding this flame pulses like a visible heartbeat. It declares, let this fire guide you rather than consume you. Because when you learn to channel it into art, connection, meaningful purpose, your passion stops being devastating wildfire and becomes sacred heat. The energy that warms, protects, and profoundly inspires. To choose this candle is to boldly declare, I will no longer exist half alive, sleepwalking through a muted existence. You accept the profound risk of feeling everything, both the excruciating pain and the transcendent beauty. Because numbness represents a far worse death than feeling too much, you accept that. Being fully human means occasionally burning with intensity, but also creating entire worlds from that same transformative fire. Let this candle remind you of this essential truth. You are not made of cold stone. You are forged from living flame, and fire, when consciously guided by love and awareness, doesn't destroy indiscriminately. It illuminates magnificently. Fourth flame, the mystic's light, violet candle. If your eyes were irresistibly drawn to the violet candle, shimmering softly with trembling ethereal luminescence. You are someone who inhabits the space between worlds. You perceive what others completely overlook. You hear what others casually dismiss. You move through physical reality and dreamscape as if both were woven from identical fabric. The flame of this candle doesn't blaze with aggression. It hums with frequency. Its color, deep and hypnotic, exists as neither complete night nor full day, but something mysteriously in between. It embodies the color of metamorphosis, the precise point where spirit encounters matter, where finite consciousness touches infinite awareness. The wax bears cryptic symbols, faintly etched as if carved by invisible hands from another dimension. They appear oddly familiar, though you cannot consciously recall from where, perhaps from a dream you once had, or from a previous existence your soul still dimly remembers. These markings are fragments of what Jung termed the collective unconscious, the deep shared well of memory belonging to all humanity. A place where archetypal energies breathe patiently, waiting to be witnessed again through your unique eyes. When you gaze into this violet fire, you don't merely see, you feel deeply. You feel the pulse of something vastly larger, an intelligence far more ancient than language itself. This flame doesn't explain through logic. It reveals through pure intuition. It communicates through synchronicities, through dreams that mirror waking life, through coincidences far too precise to dismiss as random. It is the voice of your inner guide, the whisper of the universe speaking directly through your own nervous system. If you've chosen this candle, you are the seer, the mystic, the one who walks the razor's edge of mystery. You read energetic signatures before words get spoken, emotions before logical explanations. You sense when storms approach long before clouds gather on horizons. And though this gift is extraordinarily rare, it can feel simultaneously like blessing and crushing burden. There are isolating times when your hypersensitivity distances you from others. When the world feels unbearably loud, relentlessly fast, superficially shallow, you may have learned to conceal your intuitive abilities, to speak less, to pretend ignorance of what you clearly know. But this candle calls you back to your fundamental truth. It reminds you that heightened perception is not mental illness. It is your inherent nature. The small spark dancing above the flame is not optical illusion or trick of light. It is your inner star. It represents active connection to something higher, to the divine consciousness, to the vast field of awareness that cradles every living thing. When that spark flickers with particular intensity, it signals the invisible world is actively listening, gently guiding, nudging you subtly toward your own destiny. But proceed carefully, sensitive soul. A fine line exists between genuine intuition and comforting illusion. To live close to the unseen realm is to risk losing your grounding in physical reality. Dreams can become elaborate traps. Visions can blur dangerously with wishful fantasies. The violet candle doesn't ask you to escape the world into spiritual bypass. It asks you to unite both realms, to bring heaven into earth, to let your spiritual depth walk hand in hand, with your human feet planted firmly on ground. Jung called this challenging path individuation, becoming whole by consciously integrating what is conscious and what remains unconscious, what is mystical and what is tangibly real. You are walking that path now. Your task is not to chase enlightenment like a distant trophy, but to embody it daily, to live with both wonder and grounded presence simultaneously. Perhaps you've always felt subtly different from others, naturally drawn to symbols, astrology, dream interpretation, energetic fields. Maybe people dismissively told you it was nonsense, but deep inside you know better with unshakable certainty. You know that what cannot be measured in laboratories is often what matters most profoundly. Choosing this candle means you are ready to trust your perception completely, to honor your connection to mystery, and to stop seeking permission from the world to believe what your heart has always known. You are not strange or broken. You are attuned. You are not lost. You are listening to frequencies others cannot hear. Let the violet fire remind you that not all wisdom speaks in words. Sometimes it speaks through stillness, through the quiet knowing that rises from within when your thinking mind finally bows in surrender to silence. Fifth flame, the wounded healer, green candle. If you were drawn to the emerald candle, the one visibly cracked with small crystals embedded inside its wax, your soul has chosen the sacred path of the healer. Not the distant healer who stands emotionally above suffering, but the one who has walked directly through it and emerged carrying medicine. Its flame is gentle and modest, It doesn't flare dramatically to impress or blaze arrogantly to dominate. It burns with quiet strength like a heart that is shattered completely and still dares to love again. The light flickers through its visible cracks, scattering tiny reflections like scattered emerald shards catching light. It's beautiful not despite the fractures, but precisely because of them. This candle speaks directly to those who have intimately known loss, who have carried invisible burdens in silence, who have learned to smile convincingly while their soul was still bleeding internally. Its wax holds the concentrated memory of every tear that has fallen, not as weakness but as hard-earned wisdom. Each crystal glimmering inside it represents a truth you've discovered while wandering through darkness. That empathy is born from direct experience. That kindness is forged in the furnace of pain. That deep understanding grows from wounds, not from books. Carl Jung once observed, "Only the wounded physician heals effectively, because only those who have faced their own suffering can truly sit beside another's without fear or judgment." And that is precisely what you are. Not perfect, not unscarred, but real. You have touched the jagged edges of despair and found the strength to return with open hands instead of closed fists. You have chosen softness over hardness, connection over protection. The green candle embodies the fire of regeneration. Its light vibrates with the energy of renewal, the same force that makes forests grow again after devastating fires, that pushes a tender sprout through the cracks of seemingly impenetrable concrete. It is the heart's resilience made visible through flame. You may not perceive yourself as strong, but you are, because authentic strength isn't the absence of pain or perfect invulnerability. It's the ability to stay soft in spite of everything, to still care deeply, to still hope when hope seems foolish, to still choose love even after betrayal has left its mark. This candle calls specifically to those who carry the pain of others, the caregivers, the listeners, the silent shoulders that bear others' weight. It honors your compassion completely, but also reminds you of something vital and easily forgotten. You too deserve healing. You cannot endlessly pour from an empty cup. Even a healer needs rest, gentleness, and a safe place to be held. If you've chosen this candle, your soul is whispering urgently, stop tending every wound but your own. It's time to turn your kindness inward, to treat yourself with the same patience, forgiveness, and warmth you've generously given to others. Because self-compassion isn't selfish indulgence. It's essential medicine. The cracks visible in this candle's surface are not flaws or defects. They are the openings through which the light escapes. Every scar you carry is a window, not into weakness, but into your story, your humanity, your unbreakable core. When light enters through those wounds, something sacred happens. The pain becomes purpose. To choose this candle is to declare, I will no longer hide my scars in shame. They are the map of my becoming. The green flame doesn't ask you to forget the past or pretend it didn't happen. It asks you to bless it, to see that every heartbreak, every loss, every dark night was a teacher guiding you back to yourself. You are not broken. You are remade. You are not fragile. You are forged. And the light that shines through you now, that gentle green light, is the most honest kind of beauty. Let it remind you that healing is not a destination you reach, but a rhythm you dance. Some days you burn brightly. Some days you flicker softly. But always, you are becoming whole. Integration and closing. Now that you've gazed into all 5 flames, black, white, red, violet, and green, take a moment to breathe deeply. Let their colors fade together in your mind until they form a single glow, a quiet golden light pulsing in the center of your chest. This is what Jung called the union of opposites, the sacred point where every part of you, your pain and your joy, your light and your darkness, your logic and your longing, begins to recognize itself as one living, breathing whole. Each candle you witnessed was not separate from you. It was a fragment of your being, a mirror of the forces that shape your life daily. The black flame taught you courage, that even darkness deserves your attention, that what you face loses its power over you. The white flame taught you one truth, that peace isn't found in perfection, but in living honestly, in harmony with your inner voice. The red flame reminded you of Korean passion, that feeling deeply is not a flaw, but the pulse of existence itself. The violet flame revealed the intuition, that silence, mystery, and wonder are not distractions. but sacred languages of the soul, and the green flame showed you. Compassion. That wounds do not disfigure you. They define the light that escapes through you. Together they form the complete map of your humanity. 5 lights, 5 lessons, 5 doors into your own heart. And now the temple around you begins to fade. The walls dissolve into mist. The floor beneath you softens into the warmth of the earth. You realize you are not in some faraway place. You are in yourself. Always have been. The fires were never out there. They were inside you from the beginning, waiting patiently to be seen. They are the flames that write your story, that burn through illusions and light the way home. So ask yourself quietly, truthfully, what burns within me? Is it the light that guides or the flame that consumes? Do I fight my fire or do I learn to dance with it? Because life will always bring you fire, passion, anger, loss, rebirth. You cannot control when it comes, but you can choose how to meet it. You can feed the flames that illuminate or the ones that destroy. You can let the fire turn you to ash, or you can let it forge you into gold. That is the secret of every candle you've seen. The power is not in the wax or the color or the smoke. It's in the one who watches it burn. In your Archetypes, Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And perhaps that is what this journey has been. Not about choosing a candle, but remembering the fire that has always been yours. So tonight, when you close your eyes, imagine that single golden flame within your chest. Breathe into it. Feed it with truth. Guard it with awareness. And let it guide you through every darkness, every rebirth, every shadow and sunrise. Because this is not the end. It is the beginning of becoming whole. The start of your own inner alchemy. The fire within you doesn't want to destroy. It wants to illuminate, to turn your pain into purpose, your chaos into clarity, your suffering into wisdom. May your candle burn steady, and may its light lead you home to yourself.